take a trip with me to the golden age of Marvel Comics, when they were known as the Timely Comics. So that's right, today we're going to take an advanced look at the Golden Age Captain America Volume 2 Omnibus from Marvel. Let's get started. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market on August 4th, and then a few weeks later in the book market. What we're looking at here is the direct market cover. On your left-hand side is your standard edition cover. So let me know in the comments down below if you are picking up this omnibus, which cover you're going to get. So let's take a closer look at this particular omnibus from the Dust Jacket's perspective. Here is the spine right here. Mine's a little bit misaligned, at least that right there. And here is the back of the book. Collecting Captain America Comics 13 through 24, so Volume 1 of the 1940s Captain America. The book retails for $125. I just wanted to showcase what it looks like next to the other Golden Age Captain America omnibus. Underneath the Dust Jacket, we have the Captain America font there, Golden Age Captain America, all the creators in here involved, well, most of the creators that are involved with this particular volume, and then the Timely Comics logo here. Now, let's crack this open and talk about this particular time of Captain America and comics in general. So let's go ahead and get started. We have some golden bookend pages right there. A picture here from Al Avison, one of the artists on the book. And then the table of contents here letting you know where each of these stories take place and what page. Now, probably one of the most important things that they're putting in comics these days, and at least in Marvel Comics collected editions, is that these were previously published and this is pretty much a product of its time. And it is a product of its time. So, as a heads up, there are a couple of introductions here, because you have to put yourself in the mentality and the time when this was taking place. The books you're about to see here happened right after the attack on Pearl Harbor. So it moved, not just, the comic book market, but every single thing that was happening in America was geared towards focusing on the enemy. So you have a really good introduction here from Dr. Julian Chambliss, and then you actually have the introduction by Michael Oslin, who did the introduction for the Marvel Masterworks. So this collects 3 of the Marvel Masterworks, volumes 4, 5, and 6. But you do have a brand new introduction here about race. And these are really good. They kind of set the tone of what was happening at the time and puts you in its place. And why there's depiction of different races in a derogatory kind of way, such as the case of the Japanese. This is the Emperor right here, and Captain America is punching him, much like he was punching Hitler in that first issue of Captain America. We needed to make a symbol out of this. So this is an interesting period. As somebody that appreciates art and somebody that appreciates these stories as the way they were written, I really admire the fact that nothing has been touched. This is the way that these were originally published. So yes, there are things in this particular volume that today would be considered racist completely. Not just the depictions of the characters, but also the dialogue that's being used. And it's not just Japanese characters. There's also other Asian characters in here that are depicted with just these sharp teeth, almost like vampires. But it wasn't just comics. That's the thing that we have to understand, is that comics weren't the only place that you would see these kind of racial stereotypes. You would see them in television, or you would hear about it in radio shows or novels. It wasn't that the artists and writers were racist, but just that this is what we knew. We had to dehumanize the enemy in order for people to stand up for what's right? It's a lot different now. We didn't have the internet back then, I wasn't around back then, but they didn't have the internet back then. They didn't have social media. They didn't have all these things. We had to rely on newspapers and, of course, what people would hear about through the news. So it's a very interesting time, and I say that not just with the depiction of the characters, but the way that the stories lean. So much so that Captain America through here, and he's not the only character, is telling you to stop buying comics and buy war bonds. There's a little 4-page spread, or I'm sorry, a 4-page story in here that's written by Stan Lee, talking about the importance of buying war bonds. There's a character that they created here. This is a ridiculous story right here, the headline Hunter. It's about a newspaper reporter that goes and beats up bad guys. And this is the only place you'll see it, in issue 13. And we'll talk about the others. The secret, yeah, they created the character of the secret stamp. It's about a kid. This is probably one of the most ridiculous origin stories. It's one of the most dorkiest, at least. It's this kid named Rhodey Colt. He's a paper boy who sells defense stamps, and his bike is stolen. So he becomes a vigilante, known as the Secret Stamp. That, I mean, it's Native Americans. So there's going to be things in here that, you know, that some people don't want to see. And I respect that. I respect the fact that people, you know, they're just, I don't want to know about it. It's a time of my country's history that I'm ashamed of. That's the mentality. But for me, coming at it from an angle of a comic historian, of course I want to see how it was originally written, how they were originally drawn. Everything. The way it was, everything. Untouched. That's what I appreciate. I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen stuff like this. We've seen collections like this before. We've seen collections like this from Dark Horse with manga, such as the case of Osamu Tezuka. There's a Captain Marvel book that keeps getting canceled. Captain Marvel from DC, by the way. That has portrayal of different races in a derogatory way, and it keeps getting canceled. And I think a lot of it has to do with people just some people not wanting it. This is an awesome story, actually. Look at that. You have 2-page spreads here. This is the Red Skull's Deadly Revenge. Al Avison and Stan Lee working together. Also, there's a picture of Red Skull. Here, let me show you why I really like it. I think this is probably one of the best drawn stories in here. And there's a picture of Red Skull. By the way, I do like, it seems like at the last minute they were making some editing decisions, like putting the Rising Sun on Red Skull. Like he kind of switched sides from the Nazis to Japan. But then he goes back to the swastika. But there's this awesome picture of just the Red Skull's face. I love the cross-hatching on it. This is the issue where he finds out who Captain America is. Yeah, right there. Love that. I think that's freaking awesome. And you get this scary image of him wearing Captain America's outfit, which we've seen before. Or, I'm sorry, later after this. Not the only time we ever see that. But these introductions do help set like the time and the tone and the feel of these stories. So you also have like him, Captain America, going back to the horror stories, which if you've read Volume 1, a lot of those Golden Age stories feels like a horror comic. And that's what the second part, like issues 16, 17, 18, that's what they feel like they were doing. There's this character right here of Queen Medusa, who's all kinds of, you know, pretty good looking there. And his relationship with Bucky is interesting. The dynamic between both of them are kind of ridiculous. He's taking this little kid to battle in different parts of the war. Now, the first section, so the first third of the Captain America stories, you know, he's out there. He's in wars. He's in different parts, fighting either pirates, or he's fighting Nazis, or the Japanese military, or Martians. Later on, they bring him back home. So I found that a pretty interesting move. Like, it wasn't just him, but apparently there's this whole thing. We'll come back to this page when we talk about the binding of this book. Apparently Superman, all these characters that were around back then, the writers had to pull them back from the war. So that's a pretty interesting move, yeah. Let me see if I can find that 4-page just story of Captain America. I mean, it's very patriotic. I mean, this is a time when we're fighting fascism, and Captain America lays it all out there. Okay, while we're looking for that, we also get stories of the Human Torch and Namor, who show up through his pages of Captain America. There's also other stories in here, like the Imp, the Secret Stamp I talked about. Oh, there's this silent little 1-page comic. Let me see if I can find that one. Okay, while I'm looking for that, I did want to show this 2-page spread. Holy crap, that is badass. That is an awesome picture right there. Not sure what the heck's going on with Bucky exactly, but this whole thing, just so dynamic. And it's not Jack Kirby, because Jack Kirby and Joe Simon have nothing to do with this book. Okay, so this is the 4-page story I was talking about, written by Stan Lee and drawn by Al Avison. It's just why your life depends on buying war bonds. Pretty interesting. Really, really patriotic. Look at that 2-page spread. And then I also wanted to show, you had comics in here like this, like Dippy the Diplomat, or the Imp towards the beginning of the first few collections here, that it works more like a kid's comic. Oh, wait, is this the Alien Invasion? This one here, I think, yeah, this one is written by Bill Finger. Right here, The Invasion from Mars. So, of course, the co-creator of Batman. And this is the Imp story I was talking about. So it's not only Captain America stories, because these were 64 pages each. But you also get other kinds of comics in here. Now, as far as the extras, there's very little extras. You get some covers here to some annuals and a house ad. And then the cover to the standard edition by Paolo Rivera. Now, the book has 832 pages. Let's talk about this binding. We're looking at a book that was printed at the Donnelly printer. This is what the eye looks like, which isn't a very big eye. And, you know, honestly, for Golden Age, you really don't see a lot of spread pages, but you do in this particular book. We're used to seeing splash pages like that, like from Jack the King Kirby, but Al Avison loves to do some spread pages, such as this amazing page right here that I showed a little bit earlier. But the problem with the binding, and I'm going to show 2 examples, is that there is some gutter laws. Like, you can't even make out Captain America's face right there. And right here. This is something that the Flash, the original printing of the Flash, and the new printing of the Flash Omnibus by Jeff Johns had, which is you can't make a face out of this. Like, it's just so much gutter loss right there. Not all the pages are like that. Some of them look pretty good. But I did want to point out those 2. Those 2 are the biggest ones that I found throughout this omnibus. I don't know if the Marvel Masterworks printing was like that too, so if you have those, let me know in the comments down below. But overall, I think the spread pages look pretty good. It's just those 2 examples that I think are the worst. I think most of them end up looking like this. And I think it was Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby said that back then everything was black and white. If you weren't with us, you were the enemy. So that says a lot about why, you know, some of these characters are drawn that way. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and the build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up, if you already have the original Golden Age Volume 1, or if you have the Captain America by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, if you're keeping that, or if you want every single Captain America adventure. If you've read this before, if you have the Marvel Masterworks. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, ring that bell for notifications. We are on Spreadshop and on Patreon, amazing ways to support the channel. And thank you so much to our existing patrons. More importantly, everyone, please stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.